Last week, Supergirl was back, but there was also a 2-hour season finale of Gifted. I might have made the wrong choice on which to review. I could have sung Bon Jovi. Whoa. Alright, maybe I made the right choice for you.
Welcome to the heart of the stories we tell. My name is Rob, and tonight I will be reviewing
Fort Rozz, episode 11 of season 3 of Supergirl. And all in all, season 3 has been pretty good. When I did my review, I unpacked a lot of the things that I liked and I didn't like at the mid-season. But all in all, that knockdown, drag-out fight at the end of the mid-season episode was pretty amazing with Rain. Last week, we got to see a little more of what's been going on with Valor, learn exactly what's been going on and why they can't interfere, met Brainiac, found out about the Legion, had a rather interesting situation where Manhunter had to pose as Supergirl. Wow, we had a lot of things that I didn't go over. But okay, for those of you that don't know, what I do here is I take apart stories, I examine how and why we tell them, and then I come up with different theories. Every Sunday I do a theory video, I do Throwback Thursdays to old stories, and I do reviews like this as stories come up. But for right now, we're going slightly into spoiler territory as we talk about what's led to here. We have a cult that worships Supergirl, and the idea that there was a cult on Krypton that worshipped Rain and the World Killers. Kryptonian cults are not much new. We also have a future group of superheroes, the Legion of Superheroes specifically, and some of them have come back in time in a ship and have to get back to the future. Back to the future. Inside their DNA is the answer to a problem that's going to come up in 1,000 years. Unfortunately, even though they're time travelers, they don't have a lot of information about this time period. Because just like every time the Legion comes back in the comic books, there was a point in time when we had the equivalent of the burning of another library at Alexandria. And with that, they don't know what's going on, at least not specifically. Alright, all caught up. Time to get to it.
So once again, it's stop. Spoiler time.
Last week we saw a whole army try to take on a Kryptonian, and we saw that Alex got the you-know-what kicked out of her, and her leg broken. I do wonder why they didn't call in more Martians. Oh well, I guess they didn't have the opportunity. Rain is pretty badass. She's capable of taking a fight right to all of them, and any of them. She's a Kryptonian that not only is Kryptonian, but she's a world killer, and that means a lot. So even Martian Manhunter, who in the comics is a contemporary of Superman, isn't capable of winning this fight alone. Although I do wonder why the discussion of, you do know there's another Kryptonian on Earth, doesn't come up more often. I mean, in the episode itself, they even discuss Clark/Superman when they talk about the anti-Kryptonian weapons. But okay. So, like I said, last week they had this plan to take down Rain. It didn't work so well. But this week we're back with the full Legion of Superheroes actually out and about helping. Well, not quite the full, but the full ones that came back, I'm guessing. We still don't see Valor in costume, but that's okay, because what we get instead is we get the flight rings. They're pretty cool. But okay, I just hope we get to see Booster someday because of it. Alright, so this week's episode, they need to get more information about Rain. So they need to go to a priestess that has that information. The problem is that none of the guys can go on the mission, because there's a blue star, and blue star radiation not only takes away Kryptonian powers like a red one does, but it also kills anyone that's a guy, because it affects the Y chromosome, which doesn't really make much sense. I mean, I guess I can't complain too much, because I'm accepting that Yellow Sun gives her powers. But okay, when she went through the portal way back when, didn't the powers slowly fade? Shouldn't she be a battery like Superman normally is, and as such, still have some powers if she goes? And if they need to send a team full of women, and yes, I realize Alex is down and out, aren't there other options? Don't they have other DEO agents that are women? But I guess that in a cast full of strong female characters, they couldn't have thought enough to have, I don't know, had anyone else ready to go. Alright, so Supergirl has to put together a team, and who does she decide on? Well, of course, Saturn Girl from the Legion, Mon-El's new wife, and two supervillains. I kinda almost go with the fact that, Living Lightning, no, Black, no, I know that Livewire makes sense. I mean, they kind of made a deal at the end of last time. But Sai was enough of a threat that she was able to put down Manhunter. I mean, seriously. She might be the world's most powerful telepath, and you're going to trust her and Livewire together. This was a breeding ground for disaster. Of course, Rain is the real problem. Because at the end of the day, once Rain shows up, once Rain is capable of fighting, there's no chance even those guys together could stop her, right? I mean, she's a world killer. But before we go really in depth into what happened with the world killers, I want to take a slight time out and talk about the subplot. And that has to do with Ruby. And you know what? It was a really cool one, because it was one about bullying. So they don't tell us exactly what the kid said, but someone's been bullying Ruby, and on the internet. And this is a really big issue, and while I'm on the internet, and I hear enough bad things that affect me, and I'm a pretty tough-skinned individual, when I'm not crying because Bambi's mother died. But some things that get said online even really throw me back. And then I think about kids. I think about my niece and nephew, and I think about all the bullying I put up with when I was a kid, and how I could come home and get away from it. But they can't. Twitter, Facebook, even this YouTube. And so I felt kind of good when all of a sudden Alex decided to show up with her FBI badge and be like, hey, you know what happens to bullies? Bullies go to jail. Now, technically, that was taking advantage of her badge a little bit, but at the end of the day, I think it was for a good purpose. And I think the entire message about anti-bullying could actually be taken all the way through the through line of the Rain story. The idea that you need to use might for right, not might makes right. The fact is that Rain really is just one big bully. And with that, let's head back over to the sudden but inevitable betrayal. I mean, come on. Livewire and Sai. How could they not turn on her, right? Well, they don't. Not only do they not, but if it weren't for the two of them, Supergirl would be dead. First, Livewire interferes, and then Livewire actually takes a bullet for her, more or less, well, a heat vision blast. And Sai takes down Rain by getting into her head, because that's where she's weakest. Inside her mind, the human and the Kryptonian are fighting. However, I already said, I bet that the daughter's going to be the weakness to exploit. Whether or not that's going to come in the form of, hey, you get to be a hero alongside me next year, or whether that comes along the way of, hey, your powers get taken away, I don't know. But hey, I just thought, what happened to Lila? I mean, isn't she a alien that can fight and not depend on a yellow sun? Why wasn't she in this episode? Like, I was all thinking about, gee, you should have used the device to go over to the other Earth and get some of the female heroes from the crossover. But now that I'm thinking about it, like, Wynn was dating this girl. She's on this Earth. Alright, anyway. So, we get told that there are other world killers, which those of us that read the comics already knew there was gonna be. And the fact that Rain is just the leader of them. And then, well, Rain shows up. And like I said, the fight is, again, pretty good. But at the end of the day, it comes down to the fact that it's human versus Kryptonian inside that matters. And that's a pretty cool story concept in and of itself. And definitely one that's a little different. But I want to think for a minute about where Rain is going. Because Supergirl tries to reach out to her by saying, hey, we're on the same side. We both want to bring justice. You're just going about it wrong. Well, isn't that just a really great thought? I mean, she's just going about it wrong. She's just, killing and massacring people and willing to use her heat vision to burn a hole in the priestess that believes in her, and who knows what else. The world killers aren't just supervillains. And in this case, the way this is going, they're very much trying to show that the ends cannot justify the means. And I understand that. And I'm curious to see how far that's going to push Supergirl, and whether or not we're going to have to see the entire Legion of Superheroes stick around for a while to defeat her. Because as it stands right now, telepathy has been the only thing that really slows her down. One of the interesting things she says is, I don't get my power from a yellow sun. I get it from something else. Since the only two Kryptonians we have on Earth, plus the others from Fort Rozz, all got theirs from a yellow sun, I'm interested to see where that power source is. But that does explain why it is that red sun grenades and kryptonite working together aren't enough to weaken her enough to allow Manhunter to take her down. If Manhunter had known, maybe he would have used his telepathy on her. Oh well. Right now I'm interested to see where this goes, and next week I'll be able to review again because Gifted is off for the season. Can't wait to see more of the Legion. Can't wait to see exactly how they handle this. And most of all, I can't wait to see the rematch of all rematches. When the last daughter of Krypton faces the Rain. What about you? What do you think of tonight's episode? And what did you think about the idea that the good in Supergirl was able to bring out the good in two villains, and that there wasn't a sudden and inevitable betrayal? And if you want to leave a comment about last week too, I'm curious what you thought about Streaky the Super Cat being mentioned. But for now, I need you to like and share this post, help me build the community, and of course subscribe if you haven't already. And if you have like 900 friends that you know, you could totally have them subscribe too, because YouTube just changed its algorithm and I need 1,000 subscribers. When I hit 100 though, I'm going to be happy and do a special giveaway, so stay tuned for that, it's coming soon. In the meantime, thank you for listening to me go on, and tell me what you think in joining our community as we walk through the heart of the stories we tell. Have a good night.